And here we go. Yes, On3 All-American freshman team. Did they get it right? Who did they miss out on? We about to talk about it right now. All right, true freshman of the year on the offensive side of the ball, Malachi Toney. Can't really say I disagree too much with that. I did obviously like that pick. I think he had a phenomenal season for the Hurricanes. Obviously set the college football world on fire, and I think he's the best receiver of this class so far, and obviously one of the best in the nation. Malachi Toney is him, and we get the chance to see him in the college football playoff when they play Texas A&M. I cannot wait. It should be dynamite. All right, next up, obviously, Jerron Kiwi Sagapatule led them to a 7-5 record. He has reaffirmed his commitment to, obviously, California, and showed you a little bit of everything. He had his ups, he had his downs, but showed you that you have a cornerstone piece that you can build around for years to come. So the kid is a stud. Love to see him on this list. Caleb Hawkins, another underrated stud running back. I'm saying glad to see him on this list as well. Played for North Texas this year, lit it on fire, had over 15+ touchdowns this year. They didn't quite make it to the college football playoff, but he did what he was supposed to do all season long. And it'd be interesting to see if he sticks with North Texas. Not saying he's going to hit the portal, but they're playing D1, obviously, caliber football. But he seems like he should be playing power forward football, in my opinion. That's how elite he is. Bo Jackson. Oh, my Lord. That dude is a stud. 1,000-yard rusher. Obviously on a very elite list of players that rush for over 1,000 yards in Ohio State history as a true freshman. Travion Henderson, and so many more on that list. Kid is a stud, man, and he mirrors the name very well in Bo Jackson. He's a stud runner. He can run in between the tackles. Love to see him on this list. He absolutely balled out this year. All right, next up is the receivers. Now, this list I don't really agree with, if I'm humbly honest. I would actually move this around. I'm not putting Andrew Marsh there. Respectfully, had a good season, 42 catches, 641 yards, and 3 touchdowns. I feel like Vernon Brown III has a case here, 509 yards receiving, 40 catches. And I'm going to go with Jeremiah Coger. Now, this is Coger for USF, first year. 34 catches, 529 yards, and 7 touchdowns. I feel like he was definitely a bigger piece of their success this year, along with Byron Brown, compared to, obviously, Andrew Marsh in Michigan. Michigan was a run-dominant team this year, and I think Coger had put up better numbers than, obviously, Andrew Marsh. So I'm going with Coger over Marsh in my humble opinion. I'm keeping DeCorian Moore. I think he had a big impact for Oregon this season, like him on this list, and an honorable mention for No Brown III. But I will replace Marsh and Coger in my opinion. All right, next up we got offensive line. Michael Carroll had a pretty good year this past year, obviously, for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Deserves to be on this list. David Sanders, I like him. I don't know if he's a true freshman All-American because he didn't play a lot this year. Remember, he missed a good, significant amount of time. So I would probably replace him. And who would I replace him with? I'm going to go Juan Gaston, a player from Georgia. I think he played really good this year and a guy that played a lot of minutes, for Georgia and ended up being a big, strong, impactful offensive lineman. I'm going to put him on this list instead of him. Michael Fafusi, he played really good for Oklahoma this year. Enjoyed watching him play. He was really big for them early in the season, obviously throughout the year. That kid is a stud, massive, very technically sound. Good player. I also like the pick on here from John Mills from Washington, another stud offensive lineman, man. Was big in their obviously resurgence this year with Damon Williams at quarterback, protected him well, and really did his thing down below. Now, the one I like the most on this list is Dontrell Glover. Freshman, came from Langston Hughes High School, did what he was supposed to do all season long, and earned a starting role, and I don't think he's giving it up. Only obviously a freshman, and he already has that left guard or right guard, wherever Kirby wants to put him at, is dominating. So I like this kid, and he can play. All right, let's go to the defense now. Now, I really like DJ Pickett. I thought he had a pretty stellar season for LSU this year, barring everything that happened. 28 tackles this year. He had 3 interceptions, 2 sacks, and 2 passes defense. I thought he did his thing all year long and was a stud player this season for LSU. They're going to bring back their defensive coordinator and expect for LSU to be a lot better this upcoming season with Lane Kiffin as the head coach and obviously retaining their defensive coordinator. I expect Pickett to be one of the best in the nation to come this time next year. Now, we know about the stud defensive lineman, obviously, for Maryland. It's a strong reason why they had, a better year than most people expected. Zaire Mathis and Sidney Stewart dominated the Big Ten competition this year. I think with them coming back, only being true freshmen, they're going to be a problem. And that's obviously big for Maryland moving forward because they got 2 guys that can get after you on opposite edges, and you can't double team them because they got a guy in the interior that can dominate you as well. Them boys are studs and definitely deserve to be on this list for stellar years that they had. Now, Elijah Griffin's another interesting pick. I like him as well. He's a player that came on 5-star and got in the rotation early on in the season, and now is playing a lot of significant minutes on the defensive line for Georgia. And they're getting after you, and they're getting after people consistently. This Georgia defense is only getting better and better. And with Elijah Griffin there for years to come, still got 2 more years after this year, look the hell out. Oh, my gosh, he's been dominating. Love what I've been seeing from him this year. Now, I don't know what it is about, obviously, for Miami and then obviously the plays, but they always produce defensive linemen. And this is the next one up. Mondrell Desir, he should have an even bigger year next year. 30 tackles, 6.5 sacks, forced fumble. He was a stud all year long. Look out for this kid. He might be the next great pass rusher to come through Florida State. So I like that he was on this list. Linebacker, 100% agree. Antoine DeSaulers, he was good all year long. To be a true freshman and to start day 1 for Syracuse, didn't have a great year, over 100-plus tackles. Kid was absolute stud. Bright future ahead for him. Great run stopper. You look at his PFF grades, he's rated very high. Deserves to be on this list. All right, next up, you obviously have Mason Posa, another outstanding linebacker for Wisconsin. Again, didn't have the year they wanted to, but played a lot of minutes this year, made a lot of tackles, big-time plays, forced fumbles. Kid was a stud this year, deserved to be on this list as well. And then how about Dijon Lee, who took a big step forward? Didn't even start this season, but came on for Alabama late in the year and was a strong part of their resurgence as a defensive team. Didn't have a great game, obviously, against Georgia, but when they was winning those big games, going up against, obviously, Missouri, going up against, obviously, Auburn, he made play after play after play. Now, the best DB of them all of this group is going to be Brandon Finney. Dude is a stud. I love the way he played this year for Oregon, and he has an argument along with a DJ Pickett as some of the top defensive backs in the country this time next year, or when the season starts. Brandon Finney, you didn't want to throw it his way, or it might get picked off. He was that good for Oregon this year, and we'll get a chance to prove it again, more so on a national stage. Deserves to be on this list. Now, I'm going to change out Courtney Guillory, who I know had a pretty good year. I'm going to change him out with Bryce Fitzgerald. And the reason I am is because the kid's an absolute ball hawk. Now, look, I know he only had 15 tackles, but when he was in space, when he had to go get the ball, he got it. 4 interceptions this year, probably one of the highest amongst the freshmen. Deserves to be on this list. Bryce Fitzgerald is him. Y'all going to see it in the playoff. So I would replace Courtney Guillory with him, putting Bryce Fitzgerald on this list. And then obviously Sean Lee Jr. had a good year for Pittsburgh, building block for years to come. Obviously defense that was pretty good this year, struggled in those big games, but nonetheless, a really good list. So I'm gonna give On3 a B+ here. Like I said, I would change out a couple players. Andrew Marsh, I'm gonna change him for Jeremiah Coger, honestly. And then obviously I'm gonna change out Guillory for Bryce Fitzgerald. And then David Sanders, obviously, for Juan Gaston. I think he had a really good year. Those would be my only changes to this list. And Kalen Chadinsky, he was obviously a stud. We seen what he was able to do earlier this year at tight end position for Boston College. They didn't have a great year, 2-10, but they had one of the better offenses. They just couldn't get stops on defense. But he was really good in the go-to target on offense, especially on those critical third downs for, obviously, the quarterback, Dylan Lonergan. So he had a really good season. So there y'all have it. That's my thoughts on the All-American freshman team.